thank you, Grace of Heaven, grand masters, grand predecessors, transmitters, all the transmitters, and all of you for this opportunity to speak on the 4 subjects of Tao cultivation. Right. So, as we all know that Tao is the truth, right? The omnipresent of the source of all phenomena and the origin of all things and the essence of all beings. So all beings, as we always speak about sentient beings, because most time you hear someone say beings, people always exclude things, the animals and all of those things, but they do have the same Buddha nature as we do. Okay, so Tao is the truth. So it's our true nature, our true self, say within us. So in cultivating, our effort should be centered around getting this true self or true nature in accordance with the teachings or with heaven. So that's our ultimate place where we actually came from. So we cultivate so we could strive to get back to this particular place. So Tao is a conscience. Tao is our inherent perfect wisdom. So perfect wisdom is not just knowledge, is more understanding. What do we understand? What we know and how we understand it and how we live it and so forth. So the essence of Tao is the foundation of nature, the law or the power of that existed before the universe was formed is beyond description, because there was no civilization nor creatures, let alone languages. So Tao is in existence all this time, and in the first class from lecture Thai we were talking about religions, and today this subject don't really come up most of the times. People speak because religion, they express their religion as being the only truth, and hopefully that the congregation believe what they're saying. And but this Tao was there from creation. Before anything, there was no writing, nothing at all. There was nothing, but Tao has existed since that time. So since it cannot be applied any name, we follow and call it the Tao. So we can examine Tao as its essence. So in the Tao Te Ching, Tao means way, and Tao is sometimes expressed as the flow of the universe. So how does this universe flow? We look up, sometimes we look at the news and to get the weather before we go to work or to school or whatever, and they tell us all sort of, give us different types of information. So we switch the station, and the next station is speaking about the same weather, the same city, the same state, and the information is different. So that is to say that us human don't really understand this essence, this universe that we are speaking about. So the Tao Te Ching say the Tao begot one, one begot two, and two begot three, and three begot the 10,000 things. So does anyone know what is these 10,000 things? Anybody? I guess nobody knows what the 10,000 things are.
What? It's 10,000.
So what is it referring to? Everything, basically everything. So that's how important the Tao is. So it involves everything. Alright. Okay. So along with the first principle, Tao also teaches the yin and yang classification. In this, Tao suggests the idea that opposites are needed for harmony to exist. So the doctrine of the means, it states what heaven confers is called nature. In accordance with this, nature is called the Tao. Cultivating the Tao is called education. That which is called Tao cannot be separated. That which is called Tao cannot be separated from an instant. What can be separated from it is not the true Tao. So, foundation without the Tao text known as Tao Te Ching, Wu Wei is often translated as non-action. The countless aspect of this natural phenomena seems as capricious as yet, and yet really rely in order and in cycles. This almighty being resides in each of us. So moral virtues, like Aristotle defined moral virtue as a disposition to behave in the right manner and as a mean between extreme of deficiency and excess, which are vices. We learn moral virtue primarily through habits and practice rather than through reasoning and instruction. So the countless aspect of the natural, I have that already, sorry. Right. So the significance of receiving Tao and its manifestation. Receiving Tao is not converted to a religion. Converting to a religion has three prerequisites: adoption of a teaching, acceptance of the teacher, abandonment of other philosophies. So in the Tao do have its own prerequisite. The Tao prerequisite is basically to believe. You have to believe, and the time must be right. If the time is right, meaning that you have the affinity with the right sentient beings, and you have someone that could bring you to the temple to receive this great blessings. So you learn about the Tao, they cultivate the Tao, talk about the Tao, administering the transmission of Tao, and practicing the Tao. Those are the simple prerequisites for receiving the Tao. So building characters is the first step of cultivation. When a superior person learns the Tao, they practice it with zest. When average people learn the Tao, they are indifferent. When petty person learn the Tao, they laugh loudly. If they did not laugh, it would not be worthy of being the Tao. And that came from the Tao Te Ching, number 41. So character comes from sincere and constant self-reflection. So many centuries ago, Lao Tzu spoke of the four cardinal virtues, teaching that when we practice them as a way of life, we come to know the truth of the universe. Living and practicing these teachings can open us to higher wisdom and greater happiness. As they realign us to the source and enable us to access all the powers that source energy has to offer. So prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperament are these teachings. So the more our lives is harmonized with the four virtues, the less we are controlled by the uncompromising egos. So subject 1. Subject 2, sorry. Subject 2. I didn't say 1, right. Strive to accumulate the merits and virtues. The Tao indicates objective differences, changes, natural and authentic existentiality and the realness, but on the other hand is concerned most about how man as a true experiencing subject can integrate himself with the realness of the Tao. And this concern is demonstrated by the idea of self-reflection. Self-reflection is a process for man to become one with the Tao by looking within. The practice of self-reflection corresponds to the Tao and the authentic existentiality in the following. Reflection as being in itself, concentrated reflection, and reflection as self-reflection, in contrast to the psychological understanding of the self traditionally held and today still extensively considered in the West. The self in Confucianism is essentially the ethical concept representing a holistic view of humanhood and a continuality constructive process driven by self-cultivation and moral orientation. So, subject 3, take the time to persevere and manifest the true nature. Be mindful of your thoughts, as thoughts can become words. Be mindful of your words, as words can become action. Be mindful of your action, because action can become habits. Be mindful of your habits, because habits can become personalities. Be mindful of your personality, because personalities can become destiny. In the journey of cultivation, there are many tests. We have to first remain calm and then contemplate with wisdom to overcome the hardship. Subject 4. Follow the example of the sages without erudition and propriety. When facing difficulties, if we have practice, patience, and perseverance, we can conquer any obstacles. Even a cultivator can lose his or her temper, so be aware. Cultivation is to achieve harmony, not to suppress emotions. So propriety consists of rituals, rules, regulations, and manners, and courtesy. A modern cultivator should be learn in the philosophies and principles of Tao. A few Sundays ago, lecturer Jean presented a class on temple propriety and etiquette. The proprieties that most concern those of the Western persuasions are the rituals. Why the rituals? Because most people come to the temple and they have a problem in doing the regular bows. But these bows we have to do or practice, because right now we all have a physical body, and without that physical body we would not be able to do the bows. So if we don't practice and our time is up and we happen to return to our original home and we have to perform these vows, we would not be able to, because there's no more of a physical body. When we have, yes, go ahead.
When you're done.
Oh, yeah. So when we have Dharma class, the Buddhas and the saints come and they perform the same vows and they are already there. Alright, so why is it that it's so difficult for us to, maybe adapt and perform such rituals? Yeah.
What's erudition?
Erudition
Erudition.
means, it literally means knowledge or wisdom. Okay, so that's what it means. That's the dictionary.
Yeah, it's just a higher type of knowledge, like so like the Buddhas and saints come and they can tell you what you're thinking or what you did yesterday and they weren't there. That type of knowledge. Yeah.
It could mean intellectual knowledge, but in this case it's not. It's more high.
It's high, yeah.
You can say it's like, Buddha level knowledge or wisdom. Okay. Yeah, to be erudite means to be well learned. I mean, that's the common dictionary. A guy has dozen PhDs. Okay, they're pretty erudite. Okay, I mean that's the common meaning. Okay? Erudite. It's well learned, very high, high learning.
After we receive the Tao, we have to decide whether or not to cultivate. So, we every one of us, we bring lots of people to the temple, and after maybe 1 or 2 Sundays, we don't see those people again, and we call, and then they don't even want to receive our phone calls or emails to say, come to the temple, and then most of them say, okay, I'll be there, and Sunday come and we did not see them. We call again and they still didn't show up. So as the question asks, if we should cultivate, we have to cultivate, because it's an important phenomenon. So if we don't cultivate, it's like coming to the temple and we learn about things that we did not know and things that we need to know. So if we stay home, then we're not going to know those things. Yes, the lectures and so forth is on the recorder and you could listen to it, but see, like here we can ask questions and get answers and have a better understanding of what the lesson is all about. So it's important that we cultivate, and cultivation is part of us being, receiving the blessings and of the Tao. So we should be coming and cultivate, because it's part of the propriety. So cultivation of Tao is a lifelong journey. This journey is an effort to achieve perfection and enlightenment. To arrive in is perceived as the most important part of the said journey. Because most times you hear someone is going someplace and you say safe journey, but the journey is part of the going out, but it's the arrival is the most important. I'm saying that because I just said cultivation is very important. So if we don't cultivate, how are we going to arrive at our original home? We must cultivate. So the journey is leaving home and coming to the temple on Sundays. So the arrival is important. So when our time is up, then we can arrive at our original home. Okay? So does practice make perfect? It is perfect practice that makes perfect. So if we don't do it perfectly, then it's not likely that we would actually achieve this perfection or enlightenment. So we have to actually do it perfectly to achieve perfection. We may all achieve perfection. May all living beings achieve perfection. May great harmony and eternal peace be with the whole Tao world. And that's it. And now, if there are any questions, anybody, or any comments?
Yeah. Could you show the first subject again?
The first subject. Yeah.
Okay, building characters first of all. Okay, all right. And then the second subject. Striking the merits and virtues. Okay, all right. And then third subject. Take the time to manifest the true nature. Okay.
Yeah, this one is it's refinement.
Yeah, refinement. Okay.
Refinement.
Yeah. Or temper.
Yeah, right.
Tempering.
Tempering,
Refinement. It means test, refinement, right? The crucible of
Yes.
fire.
So the
right?
second one is more talking about
Merits.
yeah,
Yeah,
right, merits
yeah,
and virtues,
gongda,
right?
gongda.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, the first one. Okay, now and then go to the first one. Okay, it's character building.
building.
Okay, so that's more like what we would say reflection.
Well,
More
when we have like bad habits, we get rid
Right.
of bad
Yeah,
habits.
well, you have to reflect on that, right?
I thought it
When you
means
get rid of-
Pingde means moral
Well,
character.
he
Right,
does
I mean, so, yeah,
character, right?
yeah, moral character.
Okay. Okay.
We all have it. It's just that, we cover it up with our desires, attachments.
These are the three poison.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, give it.
Yeah.
That has to do with the mind part, right? Because there's a senko yi, right? Senko yi. That's the yi. Ko is the four, right? Eightfold path. The
Yeah.
four things. Lying, abusive
language.
divisive talk,
Yeah.
and idle talk.
Yeah.
That's the four. And then the sun part, the body part, is the you can say the three, right? The three main, right? Sao Dao, Yi, Sao Dao.
Yeah. So the second one, where it's talking about acquiring merits and virtues. Okay. What's the Chinese on that?
Say that.
Just
Yeah.
Gongda? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then the third one is Ho, right. Well, Ho is actually more like
No,
maintaining a
it means
perseverance.
refinement.
Yeah, refinement.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
you
fine.
got-
I mean,
yeah.
it's like you have to, like in this world, you have to have
Tests.
sort of more time,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
There's- yeah.
The interactions with people, interactions with situations,
Right.
and we have
Yeah.
to deal with
Yeah,
it.
so like maintaining your
Maintaining your
perfection,
composure,
perfected character, right?
Yeah.
Perfected
Character.
character. Okay, all right. Okay.
During those.
Okay, all right. Take the time to
Pingde,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
Gongde, Huo, and Lijie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lijie is more like precepts. I mean,
Well, actually,
precepts is
the-
part of it.
actually,
Propriety,
the meat,
propriety is broader.
Yeah, right.
So it includes precept. Includes precept.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking more of trying to maintain. I mean, trying to establish a form of discipline. Okay, as the last one, fourth
The
subject,
fourth.
because of the fact that
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it.
yes, it's part. Well, actually, it's part of all of them are
Yeah, they are.
interrelated, right? Okay, because they act the idea of character, then to act upon that by merits through merits. Okay, and what do we mean by getting merits? We do things. Like things. anything. Anything. Yeah. It's more like sacrifice yourself to try to help others. Okay, unselfishness. And then the third one, where we talk about refinement, is basically through the act of the second subject, number 2. Okay, you reflect on that and see how you have maintained your character, if you will. Okay, because character is the first one also. And then the fourth one, I see it more like as a form of like discipline, even though it said propriety and all that. But even then, it's because one of the things that we find cultivating very, well, I'll call it very hard, is because of the fact that it's very difficult for us to maintain a certain state of mind, because our mind always, it's like, what the example is like, they say, oh, it's like the monkey,
crazy monkey.
jumps around,
Yeah.
blah, 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 right? So it's always going from one thought to another, etc. So therefore, because when we look at propriety and all that stuff, really, that is trying to, in a way, help you establish a form of discipline. Because, example, when you have to come to a temple, you have to do all these proprieties, etc. Or even for those who are like have home temples, whatever, they have to do incense in the morning, incense at night, etc. Yeah, so it tries to establish a routine, so to speak, right? So that is a way in which tries to help you maintain discipline, so that you can stay on track with what you're doing in the first three subjects, which is reflection on your character. So to give it, you reflect on your character so that you can see what are the things that you think are good and what are things that you think are bad. Okay, and then just try and correct them. Two, to act on, to basically, it says merits, right? Gongde, right? The second subject. Yeah, virtues and gongde. And basically that it just means that in a way is to not only, when you try to establish a good character, okay, it is yourself. And but no one person, no one person is isolated from society. So therefore, the second part is essentially to try to be unselfish. In other words, I can reflect and I think I can be a good character, right? Okay, but then the idea is to also be able to see some form of equality. That's where the de part comes in. The merit, the gongde's de part comes in, where you see everyone as yourself. So therefore, you need to be willing to go out and do things for others, etc. Okay, and then the third part being woho. Given the fact that you have the first two, then there's always what? You always encounter, like Lecture Tai says, you will find tests or difficulties. Okay, and so therefore the third part really then sees how well you do, or how well you are trying to maintain or have done your first two subjects, the character building and unselfish helping others. Okay, and then the final part is really, the final part where you have propriety and all that stuff. I guess you could say, on the one hand, it's to, I say discipline, but on the other hand, it's also a part of first subject, character building, and second part, unselfishness. So in other words, sort of like it ties everything sort of like goes in a loop, in the sense that, because if you think about how when you see the, Johnny had said that, when you see the saints and Buddhists come, okay, not many of us see multiple saints and Buddhists at the same time, very few times. You only see the one at once. But if you ever get the chance to see two Buddhists come, you really can see the way they interact with each other. Mm-hmm. They talk to each other. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's very, very interesting. It's not, it's very like, it's almost like extreme courtesy, extreme, I don't know, very gentlemanly, if you want to call it that. Okay, I don't know how else to describe it. Because the way they talk to each other, etc., is really like, you are, very respectful, very, everything at the highest level. So in that sense, that's sort of like also trying to teach us that, we need to be able to get to that level. But in order to get to that level, of course, you got to go through the first three subjects first. you have to have the three subjects involved already, where there's constant reflection on yourself, which is inner cultivation. Second one, the gongda and all that stuff is in a way outer cultivation, okay, outwardly. And then the third one is just basically, again, reflection or test of how you have done the first two. First two. And then the fourth one, of course, is, as I mentioned, the pariah. So actually all these four sort of like goes together and simultaneously almost. You know, it is true you could say you could have step one first, then step two, then step three, etc. But really, it isn't like, you know, you do all step one and you're complete with step one and you don't have to worry about it. No. Whenever you're doing step 2 and 3 and even 4, you're actually all doing the other steps at the same time. Something like that. Okay? So anyway, that's my comment.
Yeah. Thank you. Any more question or comments?
I have, but I don't think we run out of time.
No. They're gonna have a ceremony, so go ahead.
I don't know if I got it clearly, but you spoke about our ultimate goal is to attain enlightenment and to be a Buddha or Buddha-like.
Yeah.
And
Would you-
there's a journey from point A
Yeah.
to get to that point B, Buddhahood. And if I'm to understand it right, the journey is as important as the destination. I think you had suggested that the destination is even more important.
The
but to me,
the arrival.
journey-
The arrival.
Yeah, the arrival is more important than the journey. And to me, if you don't pay attention to the journey and reading the signs and taking the right exits and making sure you stay on course, you don't get to your destination. My point is, in order to get to that destination, you have to be aware of learn all the lessons, cultivate, acquire the knowledge to get to that final destination. If you're not aware and do not progress and read all the signs, you don't get there. So to me, the journey is as important as the destination. Without paying proper attention to the journey, you don't get to the destination.
Yeah, but why I said it this way is because the cultivation process, right? That most people, there's a song that also says, everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? So it's the cultivation process that we have to go through. And while we cultivating, we are learning and we understand the rights and the wrongs, the ins and the outs. These are the things that we do and we have to learn. And the self-reflection, that process that must take place. So that's why it's a regular occurrence, right? So we have to do all those things and constantly doing it. And then when the time comes, if we did not do all those things, then we would not arrive at the destination.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to get at, Guy. Yeah, it's true. In a way, both are correct, okay, in the sense that when we are cultivating, right, that's a journey, okay. And then, but the reason why you have a journey is because you have a goal that you want to reach. Okay, so on the one hand, you realize that there's a goal, okay, but you are right, absolutely right in the sense that you have to be very careful about your journey. That's your cultivation, because you got to make sure you're cultivating right.
You don't
cultivating right, not deviating.
Careful with the journey.
Yeah, right.
But
So-
the key is you have to keep both in mind.
Yeah, right. But it is because it's like saying a guy who has to climb a mountain, and he goes, "Oh, but I know I have to climb that mountain before I start my journey, because in order to climb that, but in order to climb that mountain, I have to go on a certain path, etc., etc. But it's because I already know that there's a mountain there that I need to climb.
Well, there's a goal.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? So yeah, the idea of the journey is very important, though. It's just that but you still have a goal in mind, but honestly, if you on the other hand, though, if it's like saying this, a guy he travels on a journey, right, and he has to know where he's going, etc., etc. And then he comes to a point, and then he finally arrived at the destination, but without really realizing that he has arrived. Okay, because when you keep cultivating and just focus on your cultivating, that's true. You can't get to a point where you go, you come, and say, oh, it's like saying a guy doing homework. A guy doing homework for school. And then he has all these problems. There's many problems. And then he says, oh man, okay, so he studies the subject and he starts doing the problems. And then he comes to this, this page of problem, this page of problem, and then he flips the page. And he goes, oh, this is the next it's the next subject now. This is the next chapter now. So in other words, concentrating on his problems, he doesn't realize that, he doesn't realize that he's reached the end yet until it arrives. It just arrives. So on that sense, yeah, it goes there.
No, here's a simple way to wrap things together. Okay, so that's why both of you are right. So and here's why. Okay, so knowing the destination is important. It's very important. As a matter of fact, it's necessary. Right? It's necessary. I mean, when I make by known to them, mean where we really should go, right? Okay, we all know that. Okay, after we release the blessing, okay, we should know that. So that's necessary condition. The path, the journey, is also necessary. Because in order to reach that destination, you still need a path, a proper path. Okay?
A journey, take a journey.
Okay, but by themselves, just the destination and just the journey are insufficient. Get it? Insufficient. You could go on a journey, but if you don't know the destination,
you could
end up in the
deviate.
wrong place.
You could
Get
deviate.
it?
You could
Yeah,
deviate.
right? But if you just know the destination,
But without taking
you
the
don't
journey,
you
never
get
get
nowhere.
there.
So both are necessary. Each is necessary. Sorry, each is. This is the way you should phrase it. Each part is necessary. You require both, but you have to do it together because that makes it sufficient. Get it? So it's both necessary and sufficient condition. This is in logic. That's how you could do it. Right? Make sense
With
now?
all of that, but I also want to add that we were put on this earth to enjoy life. I think.
Say it again.
We were put on this earth to enjoy life. Fullness of life. And along the path, it reminds me of a little child in a car and always asking mommy, are we there yet? Are we there
Oh,
yet?
right.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Right, that guy climbing the mountain has to stop at some time and look out and say, wow, what
Yeah,
a beautiful
yeah.
view. And enjoy the
Yeah.
journey from point to point.
Yeah. No, I'd rather use a different term. I mean, because people can misinterpret that enjoy.
Yeah.
Because they can become attached.
Yeah.
I'd rather use the term either appreciate
Okay.
or cherish
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that journey.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that
Don't
I'd rather
be
use
fixated on the
term.
fact that you get in there. Enjoy the path from point A to point B.
I wouldn't use.
I don't want to use the word enjoy me when I'm using the wrong word.
Yeah. No,
Appreciate.
Yeah. I think appreciate and
Yeah.
cherish.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's a better term, right? I mean, more nuanced, okay? Because people then misinterpret, say,
Yeah.
oh, enjoy. Hey, I take pleasure in doing this. Then that lends or has the potential to become one-sided or the other. Make sense? Dualistic. Whereas I think cherish, you mean you appreciate that, oh, I need to make this journey. Whatever comes. Whatever difficulties, obstacles I encounter, I'm going to encounter, but I'm going to face it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's not like I take pleasure or enjoy it
Yeah.
because it becomes too one-sided. Because if you use that term, enjoy, then we say, hey, what about all those people who are suffering, since birth, You mean to tell me they gotta enjoy that journey? I mean, see, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So we should be careful, right?
Yeah.
Right? That, so not to be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
You get understand? So right? Just appreciate, okay? Or cherish, you can say, right? Cherish your journey, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate for what it is. Yeah, you're going to, you're going to encounter headwinds. You're going to meet obstacles.
Yeah.
But appreciate that still because those are tests, right?
Yeah.
Those are refinement.
Right.
Yeah, because you
So-
will have
so-
experience.
Because only with refinement or tempering can we know how far we progressed.
Right.
Right? If there's no refinement, no test, how can you be certain that I have achieved a certain level? You cannot. Isn't that true?
True.
Yeah.
There's no way. I know calculus. Well, how do you know unless there's a test? How would you know? Anybody can claim everything, but right? You understand?
Yeah.
So you still need refinement. So that's part of the journey, right? So you can appreciate. Okay? So that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
A lot of
basically,
time,
you
yeah,
got
during the journey, you're
Yeah.
bombarded with so much of challenges.
yeah.
Right.
Of course.
So-
A lot of
so-
people give up.
But people
Right.
don't appreciate
But,
it. See,
yeah.
that's the
Right,
difference.
so that is why in those times, really, in a sense, that knowing that there's a goal helps. So that's why
Yeah.
that's part of the
Yeah.
journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Knowing
So
there's a
that's why you
goal.
need both.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if
Both are
you
important.
encounter hardship,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you lose sight of the goal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then you may
Give
back
up.
up, give
Yeah.
up, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Each
right?
is necessary.
So
Yeah.
having a
But
goal
both
helps.
is sufficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Satisfy the sufficient condition.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe
See-
it could be the affinity is not there.
Well,
Because a
yeah,
lot
it could be,
of
it could be many
Factors.
different factors. That's true. That's true. It could.
Because some receive the blessing and then they cultivate and then they exceed
Right,
and then they
right.
move to something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
cultivation, but different from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they kind of like lost sight of what the true goal
True group.
is.
Yeah.
You know, for them they say, you know, because they're, hey, it happens a lot with Nepalese.
See. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Never mind Americans. I mean, Nepalese do too. You know, because they have a tradition, right? I mean, most, not all, but most of the Nepalese, they have a very strong religious tradition. They worship, you know, all the different,
Buddha-
you know,
the Buddhas,
divas
yeah.
and whatever. They don't. Maybe when they receive the blessing, they don't understand that. Oh, it goes to the. That's why you know we had a class about the 10 Dharma worlds or the 10 Sifa 10 Dharma worlds. Then I did two classes on that. So they don't realize that. Ooh, you know, the receiving the three treasures goes to that level. You know, the highest level, but they still think, you know, in their minds because they have that tradition. You know, once again that tradition that you know, about celestial heaven. So you go out their homes, they have like I would say shrines, or they you know they have shrines or something of you know all the divas, you know, not just Brahma, that's the Hindu side, but they have their own divas, you know, like you know God, celestial beings, you know, celestial. So they think they're receiving it brings them to that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But that's still samsara because those are celestial heavens. When I talk about the 10 Dharma worlds, the
Yeah.
many levels, there are at least 28 levels of celestial, 28 main levels. Then there's sub levels. There are too many. Okay, celestial beings. So they don't understand that. You understand? So that's why they receive the blessing, like you say. They say they're cultivating. They believe in the three poisons and all that stuff, but they don't come to the Tao temple because for them,
It's not in the traditional
precisely,
sense.
They,
Yeah.
they just follow their own condition because
Yeah.
they still think receiving a blessing gets them to the celestial heaven. So that means they did not know the real goal. You understand? So that's why you have to make it clear to people when they it's that you reach the highest level. You know that's the goal, right? And then when we must cultivate to get there. But understand that that's not celestial heaven. So they didn't understand that it goes to beyond celestial heaven. So they still continue cultivating in their way, in their fashion. You get it? Following their tradition. Okay? So that's why a lot of them still continue to eat meat.
Yeah.
You know that? Okay,
Yeah.
so whenever I was in Cleveland the last 2 weeks, you know, we keep telling you to cut down. That's the proper cultivation. You get it? Okay? I mean, you know, you have to, you know, because you don't want to create karma, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Because if you continue to say, I received the three treasures, but I still continue to cultivate the way my tradition, my, either whatever, tradition is, cultural tradition, whatever,
Yeah.
then you're still going to create karma. So you may not get there. You know what I'm trying to say? So you need both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
I mean, each is important. That's the key. Each is necessary.
Yeah.
But only both of them is sufficient. It's sufficient to reach your goal
to reach.
and to cultivate properly. You saw it, you
Yeah,
know?
and the same applies during, when we say knowing the goal, besides the tests, during the times of test, also during times of what we, Lecture Kai had mentioned about appreciation. It's true that you may find, find a time, whatever, or place where you find, oh man, everything's so beautiful, this world's so beautiful. But then, what makes you not want to stay and just, quote unquote, admire the scenery, whatever?
Mm.
Hey, there's a goal you have to go to.
Yeah.
The day, the sun's coming down. You gotta keep going. That's what keeps you pushing, keeps there. So therefore, the concept of the goal is always with you, must always be with you. But at the same time, knowing that there's a goal, then pushes you to continue the journey.
Yeah, but make sure that it's a proper journey to get there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It has to be a proper journey, of course.
A lot of people have goals in
Yeah.
life.
No,
I want to
no,
become
that
rich.
goal,
I'm going to be
enlightenment
powerful.
goal, yeah.
That's the wrong goal,
Right.
right? And so they try so hard
Of
to
course,
get there,
yeah, having the
including
proper goal
giving
is
up their
correct.
lives for that, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, the proper goal is important, yes.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's something, that's a perspective of a parent, the
Yeah.
whole thing. We have 2 kids, and they have their own curriculums, their lives, and we need to take care of them as well as propagating Tao at the same time. Yeah, there's a lot of conflicts between the Tao scheduling and their scheduling.
Yeah, yeah.
But we
of
have
course.
to decide, okay, they had their priorities, we need to take care of them as well.
Right.
We
right.
cannot just keep focus, one focus, oh, they gotta go get the enlightenment, focus this.
Yeah, so that's why on your journey
You
of
have to harmonize.
Right.
cultivation, you will,
Harmonize it.
yeah, you have to sort of like, you know, okay, there's other stuff that
Yeah.
you have to do.
Right.
So therefore, you still have to take care of it before while you're trying to continue on your journey.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
对不起，要上课了，我们现在要开始
上
上课。
课啊，you have to harmonize. That's the important thing.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, you're welcome. So if I've said anything
All
wrong
right.
or made any
One.
mistakes, I ask it for heaven and your forgiveness. Yeah.